Hello class, so here's a quick video for section 7.1. I just wanted to talk to you about the normal distribution real quick. So this curve, I'll show you a picture I can draw on. So the normal distribution looks like this. In the center is the mean. These are called inflection points. It's where it switches from being like curved down to being curved up. And this would be the mean plus 1 standard deviation. I'll explain that more in a second. But you get the same thing on the left. This would be the mean minus 1 standard deviation. So on some of the homework problems, they're talking specifically about standard deviations above and below and what that's going to look like. So like on this problem here, they give you a mean of 70 and a standard deviation of 17. So if you were going to draw the picture for this, the mean would be the very middle. So this would be 70 and the standard deviation being 17. So this is the mean plus the standard deviation. So you'd go 70 plus 17 and you'd get this number would be 87. And then the mean minus the standard deviation, so 70 minus 17, you get 53. So you're looking for a picture that matches that. This one here has a center point, a mean of 70, and then the 87 and 53, that's 1 standard deviation above and below. So you'd pick that choice there. And then the second part of the question says, shade the region that represents the proportion of plans that charge less than 53. So they give you a couple choices here that are a little bit tricky. This choice D over here looks pretty good. It has a mean of 70. 53 is there. It's shaded to the left, but 53 is in the wrong place. So 1 standard deviation below the mean is going to be exactly at that inflection point. It's where it switches from being concave down to concave up. So it's where it starts curving this way instead. So that picture is close, but not quite right. This is the better picture. It has a mean of 70, 53 is right at that inflection point, and then you're shading everything to the left. So that's the better picture. The probability is 0.157. That's given to you in the problem. In the next section, you'll see how we're going to calculate that on our own. But the probability is 0.1587 that a randomly selected cell phone plan in this population is less than 53. Less than you're shading to the left, more than you would be shading to the right. So that's why this choice is less than. Okay, a couple more on the next problem, showing some similar stuff. So in this case, they give you a mean of 266 and a standard deviation of 16. So back on your picture, these would be gone. And they said a mean of 266 and a standard deviation of 16. So this middle point here would be 266. And if the standard deviation is 16, so we'd go 266 plus 16, you get 282 right here. And 266 minus 16 is 250. So they don't actually require that you draw the picture in this case, but I think it's helpful to see where specific numbers are at. So back on the homework question, they're shading this picture to the right of 300. So 300, if this is 282, 300 is somewhere in this area here, and then they're shading to the right of that. So they want you to provide one interpretation. So the proportion of human pregnancies that last more than is the key here. We're shading to the right of 300. So more than 300 would be shading to the right. And then this probability is given to you in the problem up here. So you don't have to find that yet. In the next section, we will. And then provide a separate interpretation. Proportion and probability, basically, we're going to say those mean the same thing. So on this picture, when we're shading something, like they said 300 is maybe somewhere right around here, and they shaded everything to the right. So this stuff here is, it has many names. We could call it the area. It's the area of that shaded region. We can call it probability. They mean the same thing. So in this problem, they gave you 0.0168. So this area here is 0.0168. You could call that the area. You could call that the probability. You could call that the proportion of cases that satisfy that. So it has many different names. These numbers down here on the bottom, in this case, we're going to call these are the X values. In some examples I'll show you in the next section, we're going to call these Z-scores as well. These ones are X values, though, because the Z-scores, they have a middle number of 0, and the standard deviation is at 1. I'll show you that later, but for right now, these are Z-scores. So just to keep those straight in your mind. And then the next part of this problem. They change it a little bit. They shade from 290 to 305, so between two values. So that's why this one is the proportion that lasts between 290 and 305. And then this one, the probability that lasts between 290 and 305. So they're just getting you practice with changing the proportion to probability and knowing that those mean the same thing. So anyway, that's it for 7.1. That should get you through most of these. And I'll show you more calculator stuff for 7.2. All right, keep up the hard work.